Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. This is a little different now because we are no longer streaming on 1 2 Radio. I think some shows might still stream this week, but then after that, we're just all going to be streaming on YouTube and perhaps Facebook like I do. So I feel like I've been using the same opening the show script for the last 15 years because I have. And so and I'm rethinking, what do you say? I am still in the 1 2 Radio chat room. If you want to head over there, you can find that by going to 12radio.com and clicking on the chat button. Boy, that hair is going to drive me crazy this whole show, isn't it? Okay, it's fine. It's probably fine. Okay, we can get through this. At any rate, but you'll also, if you're just in the Facebook or the YouTube chat, I can certainly see your comments here, and that's what I'll be interacting with primarily. So that's how it is now. Now our archives, I believe, will still be posted over at 1 2 Radio. We're just not going to stream through the 1 2 Radio player anymore. We're just going to rely on our YouTube presence because I think what we've learned by more of our hosts moving over to 1 2 Radio or to YouTube is that you guys prefer it. You'd rather watch than listen. And let's be real, you can still listen, right? You don't have to watch if you don't want to, but this is how it goes. So here we are, and as you know, this it doesn't really change anything for me, except for a few things on the back end because I've been streaming 1 2 Radio or well, my show 1 2 Radio show here on YouTube for many years. But I do want to encourage you to make sure that you keep an eye on our 1 2 Radio Facebook page as well as the website so that you'll catch all of the links for all of my colleagues who will also be streaming their shows. So all of those things are happening. I hope you guys had a lovely full moon. I have to say, I really like the energy of this one. I occasionally don't, but currently I like what we're getting. This moon feels good, I think. So there is that. A couple of things I wanted to show you, and I have a picture I forgot to save, so I'm going to pull it up here real quick from my phone. Because surely you want to see pictures from the wildlife park. You guys, we go over there so much it's almost embarrassing. Almost not quite, because, we do have season passes. And I know they like the season pass holders, partly just, because we support them, but also because season pass holders just help them to look more busy. And that's a good thing in a place like that. Though I'll say they don't need our help. They have gotten much, much busier here over this last year, which I think is awesome. So it's good either way. But let me get these pictures downloaded real quick so I can share a couple of things that I thought you might love to see. One thing we've learned about this place is that the animals are much more active when it's raining and overcast. And so we've made it a practice of ours to go over there when it's raining and overcast because you just get to see a lot more. And especially the foxes are a lot more active, and sometimes the bears and stuff. So anyway, let me share a few things with you. This was yesterday. Look at this majestic guy. Isn't he gorgeous? They've lost most of their undercoat. They were a little rough there for a little bit because they had all of their winter, overcoats gumming up the works, but making him look pretty scroungy. But he's pretty much lost his winter hair now. He's still got a really full tail though, but isn't that pretty? But then we came around the corner and back in the wood, there was this beautiful fox all by herself asleep in this little hollow. Isn't she pretty? That's zoomed in quite a bit. But it was just stunning. Scott and I both went, oh, we had to back up, get a picture of that. It was amazing. Isn't she beautiful? So I've probably told you this before, but this wildlife park began as a sanctuary for foxes because the gentleman that owns it, he is involved with a group of people throughout the United States that are working to preserve all of the different colors and color combinations of the red fox. So this is a red fox. That's also a red fox. And all the other foxes I've showed you from this place over the years, they're all red foxes. There's something like 45 different color combinations of red foxes. And pardon me, many of them are dying out in the wild. And so it's this group's goal to preserve all of the different colors and provide education about red foxes. So a little note of trivia is if you see a fox that has a white tip on its tail, like he does, or like this one does, you can just see it, that is a marker of a red fox. Because clearly red foxes come in every color. Lots of gray, whitish gray, kind of calico looking ones. They're so damn cool. I wish you guys could all go with me out there just to stare at the foxes for hours. But at any rate, if you see a fox that has a black tip on their tail, that is an Arctic fox. That's the biggest difference. But also, the deer have finally had their babies. The deer were late. In fact, the owner told me that everybody was late this year because of our weird winter, that the weather didn't ever let them know when it was time to get pregnant and to have their babies. So things were a little bit weird because, as you know, we didn't get a winter this year. But at any rate, look at that baby. My God. These are little foxes that are, or sorry, little deer that I believe he said are from Texas that remain spotted. So that bigger spotted one is an adult. That's the mama. And then you've got the little baby with her. And they're just so freaking precious. But we kept going over there wondering when in the world are the deer? They were just still so pregnant. And, the elks finally started a while back. The elk now have all of their babies birthed. There's 15 of them. And they're so freaking cute. But we finally have the deer babies too. And there are 5 deer babies. Their deer herd isn't very big, but 5 is a good number for them. So they're so darn cute. Yeah. So there's a little trip to the wildlife park with me. Speaking of weather, you guys, we have been freezing to death since Friday. Crazy. We've had snow. Not at my house, but in the mountains above my house. There's been significant snow. So I guess we're having winter this summer. Uh, it was 44 degrees here when I got out of bed yesterday morning. It warmed all the way up to 55. It was so cold. It was 61 degrees in this house because, it's supposed to be summer. I didn't turn the heat on though. I was really tempted and I thought that my husband was going to have my head examined if I did that. So I put on a hoodie and socks, you know, like an adult. But at any rate, yeah, but it's been crazy, just really wild. So we're finally kind of starting to warm up, and now we're going to get hot, like close to 90 by the weekend. So we're going to go from 40s to 90s. Scott said, we'll probably all get sick. And I said, no, God damn it, we're not. Wild. I wanted to thank you guys for all the birthday wishes last week. You're amazing. What I wanted for my birthday was a bird bath, bird waterer situation because earlier this summer, a little red-winged blackbird drowned in my front yard in a planter of water that was waiting to have tomatoes planted in it. And I felt really bad. And I thought, why is it that I don't have a bird bath. I should. I feed all these birds and all my little feeders. Why would I not water them too? So that's what I asked for my birthday, and that's what Scott bought me and set up, and it's awesome. The crows won't go anywhere near it. They're super suspicious. They hate it, but they'll warm up to it eventually. But the Maggies were in it and on it and all over it the first day, as were some of the other little birds. But yeah, the crows are cracking me up. They don't want a damn thing to do with it, but they'll get there. Oh, thanks, you guys. I did have a great birthday. I mean, literally so spoiled because last weekend, the weekend before last, we spent in Boise with the kids, celebrating my birthday on Father's Day. And then I had my actual birthday that I celebrated with Scott, with my husband. And then on Friday night, we went out to dinner together with my siblings and their spouses. And then we had my family birthday party on Sunday with the rest of our crew. So, yeah, I've been thoroughly birthdayed and spoiled. It's probably ridiculous. But I'll take it. What can I say? Birthday bitch right here. Thanks, guys. Alrighty, well, we actually have a ton to talk about. I have a big topic today. I've kind of been moving through all of these different aspects of spirituality that we never really hone in on, that are like you see stories like these, and we've been talking about this all summer, like different insects and flowers and things that have had a lot of sacred connotations over many centuries. And like, for example, we talked about the praying mantis recently, which leads me to needing to show you my praying mantis shirt, if you can see it. It says girls will be girls. Now look again so it'll make more sense. Yeah. Praying mantis females, they do murder the males after they breed them, if you don't get them out fast. Because if they don't, then when they hatch their eggs, the males will eat them. So, I mean, it's survival, but girls will be girls. What can I say? I covered a case recently of a cheerleader that locked her boyfriend in a batting cage and kept putting quarters in it for several hours until he learned something, she said. It was deemed a crime. I don't know if he learned anything at all, but I kind of get it. Kind of get it, girlfriend. The sad part is, did he learn anything? No, he didn't. Well, I don't know. And I'm not saying be violent. Probably. Most of the time. Anyway, this week I wanted to talk about moths. Moths are so interesting to me because they are one of those insects that people are more afraid of than others. Right? He learned to stay away from her. That's probably right. I doubt it. I doubt it. I'll bet they stayed together. Much to the despair of his family, probably. uh, yes, so moths fall in the same category as spiders and snakes. For a lot of people, they're afraid of them. Why? Is it because they are a creature of the night? Is it because because of the way they move? Are their actions frightening? I don't really understand it, but I know that that is the case for people. Moths are amazing. So we got to talk about it. Moths are not butterflies. They are different because moths are creatures of the night. They are governed by the moon, and there are incredibly beautiful moths throughout the world. We're going to talk about some of them specifically. There are moths that get as big as dinner plates in some parts of the world, which is incredible to me. It's that powder on them. Yes, some people really don't like that. It has a funny smell too if you've ever touched a moth. Oh God, a couple of days ago we were in the car and I felt something on the back of my head. And so I reached back there. I thought maybe, I don't know, I had a bug in my hair or something. It was a hornet, just a hornet. I just kind of did this and pulled whatever was in my hair out and looked at it, and it was a freaking hornet. I threw it out the window immediately. I did not get stung. But how the hell did I get a hornet all tangled up in the back of my hair? Anyway, I don't even hate hornets. I just don't want to get stung. That gives me the willies, and it hurts for like too long. At least a day, depending on how you react to it. Anyway, let's get back to talking about moths. That's funner. All right, so I called this edition Moths, Messengers of Moonlight, Mystery, and Transformation. Butterflies have hogged the spotlight for too long, and also butterflies and moths get mixed up by people, and they think that moths are butterflies. I wonder if moths get offended, particularly because moths get demonized all the time, so you probably should be mad, moths. Let's talk about the life cycle of a moth. Moths lay eggs on leaves that hatch into larvae, which are also caterpillars. And as we know, they will molt several times and continue to get bigger. Molting meaning that they'll shed their skin. And then they become into the pupa stage, the chrysalis. And then they do the whole transformation thing that butterflies do too. And then they emerge into an adult moth. And that's the life cycle of a moth. Sorry, working on my notes. Okay. So butterflies and moths share a lot of things. They share the wings, the larvae. Basically, the whole life cycle is pretty much the same. But there are some differences. The antenna on butterflies is thin with more of a club-shaped tip. With moths, it's feathery or tapering without a club. If you ever wonder if you're looking at a moth or a butterfly, the antenna is usually your biggest tell. The activity, of course, tells you a lot because butterflies are active mostly during the day and moths are active mostly at night. There are some day-flying moths, however, so in that instance, you probably have to be thinking about what the antenna looks like. Resting wings. You know how butterflies at rest usually hold their wings up over their backs, you know? And moths' resting wings usually rest with wings flat or tent-like. Body shape. Butterflies are generally slender and smooth. Moths are usually stouter and fuzzier. Same, girl. Same. The pupa stage forms a hard exposed chrysalis in the butterfly, and in the moth, they usually spin a silk cocoon around the pupa. Yeah. So if you see cocoons that look like they have almost like a mummy that are spun in silk, you're probably looking at a moth, not a butterfly. And the colors. Butterflies are usually brightly colored, you know, meant to fit in with the flowers. And moths are usually brown, gray, or camouflaged. Some of them are really colorful, and even the brown, gray, and camouflage ones a lot of times will have some really interesting markings on them. So lots of differences amongst them. Jane says there was an almost 4-inch one at my mom's front door every day for several days. Wow, interesting. Hey, Maya. Yeah, so now you know what some of those differences are in case you were wondering, or if you weren't. Now you still know. All right, well, let's talk about moths. Moths, as you know, have been known to be drawn to light, fluttering around a porch light, drawn to candles. When we camp, a lot of times we'll burn a citronella candle on a table, to try and help with the mosquitoes. And you'll see moths that are really drawn to that as well. So, what I wanted to know when I started researching moths are, where do moths show up in history? Where do they show up in spiritual lore? Oh, yeah, there's stories about moths everywhere. So, some of the stories about moths, some of the themes of moths are pretty constant, as moths as guides, teachers, messengers, and symbols of the soul itself, depending on the culture. So, butterflies are this joyful transformation, right? Life's hard, you turn into goo, you go into your chrysalis, you reform, you emerge into this radiant being, right? That's the story of the butterfly. With moths, it's a little different. It's quieter, it's darker, and it happens in the dark. One of the things I love the most about stories about moths and what we know about moths is their relationship to the moon. You've got a moon child here. I was born on a full moon. I am obviously a Cancer baby, and I'm really reactive to the moon, but especially the full moon, which is generally good and sometimes blah. But here we are. People have connected the moon and the moth with intuition, dreams, mystery, feminine wisdom, and the unseen realms of spirit. We know that the moon has represented cycles, emotions, psychic awareness, and hidden knowledge. And for the ancients, watching a moth navigate beneath the moonlight led people to believe that it carried a special relationship with those forces, which I would concur. I believe it does. So, a very famous story in Persia is, and this is a part of Sufi mysticism, but it's known as the moth and the flame. And obviously, this is a story that's been told so many times. Surely there are many renditions of it. So if you know of a different one, or you've heard something differently than this, I'd love to hear it. But according to the story, a gathering of moths wished to understand the mystery of a candle's flame. The first moth flew towards the light, observed from a distance, and returned proudly, believing it now understood the flame. The elder moth gently replied that it had only seen the light. The second moth flew much closer, feeling the warmth before retreating. Surely this one understood. Yet again the elder explained that feeling the heat was not true understanding. Finally, a third moth flew directly into the flame. It never returned. The elder simply nodded. Only this moth, he said, truly understood. The flame represents divine love, and the moth represents the human soul. So it's the idea that real spiritual understanding isn't something that you can gain by observing from a safe distance. It requires surrendering your ego, releasing fear, and allowing yourself to become one with something far greater than yourself. It's an amazing metaphor. I also, when I read that, I was thinking about, I was thinking about raising kids, but also just thinking about all of us as a whole, that we tend to We tend to try to shield our children or maybe our friends, our family, our clients from making mistakes, right? I don't want to see you get hurt, right? That's what we say. I don't want to see you get hurt. What if we sometimes kind of have to? What if you have to touch that hot stove to understand that the stove is hot? Now, obviously, no one's, well, I hope no one's putting their kid's hand on a hot stove, but what if you have to sometimes get hurt in order to understand the world around you? I think it's just real, right? I think we just all sometimes have to experience things like that to continue to understand the world around us. But just in the same way that in order to really understand love, you have to love. In order to really understand heartbreak, you'd have to have your heart broken. I think it kind of goes along with grief in that unless you have experienced that specific kind of grief, you can't really understand fully what someone else is going through. It's that sense of being that you can sympathize, but perhaps you can't empathize. Years ago, our friend Natalie's son, he was 11, he developed a brainstem tumor. And on Thanksgiving Day, he just woke up that morning very weak, could hardly stand, and they had no idea what was wrong. They took him to the hospital. They life flighted him to Salt Lake City to Primary Children's Hospital, where he was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor. It happened that fast. And his name was Cameron. And over the course of the next few months, Cameron deteriorated to the point that he couldn't hold his own head up. He could no longer eat, and Cameron perished. And it was really hard, of course. And our friend Natalie was unbelievably destroyed. And I remember afterwards, even just within 6 months or so, some of our friends were they were getting tired of Natalie grieving. Natalie had been the life of the party. That girl was wild. She would do anything. I have some bar stories with her that would absolutely kill you, but uh, I adored her. I still do. But everything changed for Nat. She had been through the worst of the grief. And some of our friends just really felt like, okay, it's been 6 months, it's been a year, it's been 2 years. It's time to move on. It's time to knock it off. Quit posting about him on Facebook. Quit going to his grave all the time. They wanted her back. Like they wanted her to be the person she was before Cameron got sick. She never has. She never will. Now we're about 16 years down the road now, and her life has changed a lot, and her grief has changed a lot. I can't ever speak for how she is truly doing because that's up to her. But that was such an eye opener to me that in grief, so many of the people around her, because they hadn't experienced the grief of a child, of losing a child, they were quite impatient with her and just were ready for her to shake it off and get back to being the person who entertained them. It's mind boggling when I tell the story, right? It's mind boggling that you're like, how the hell could anyone be that cold? That's actually kind of how life is. People want you to be a certain person, they want you to be a certain way, and they don't want you to change. And, good, bad, or ugly. And I always think about her in this aspect because, yeah, you don't. You don't get over that. You don't bounce back from that. You are going to change. And she did. I'm happy to say, however, she is married now to a really nice guy, and it seems like life is treating her better these days. And I'm glad for that. But yeah, grief can be so brutal, and people can be so brutal. But again, if you have not experienced the same kind of grief someone is experiencing, you don't know. And even if you have, you still don't know because everyone's situation is different. Everyone's traumas are different. Everyone's past is different. Everyone's support systems are different. Yeah, those people are assholes. Agreed. Another thread of moth symbolism comes from China. This is the idea that a humble silk moth helped to shape an entire civilization. According to China's oldest legends, the Empress Lizu was enjoying tea under a mulberry tree when a silkworm cocoon fell into her cup. And when she fished it out of her cup, the warm water loosened the fibers and allowed one of the impossibly long silk strands to unravel in her hands. She realized the thread could be woven into cloth and that is where silk was born. We don't know if it's historically accurate or not, but it's a tale that is one of China's greatest cultural lessons. So we also learned that silk was, as a fabric, is incredibly strong and valuable and useful. When I was in college, I went to Europe on uh, a tour with my college, and I was in the home economics department. So the tour itself was actually geared more towards the fashion design students. So one of the first things we did in England actually was go to a silk factory where you could watch the worms at work. Really fascinating. Really fascinating stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Kev says sober Kevin isn't looked for as drunk Kevin was. Yeah. Yeah. At any rate, I thought that was pretty interesting about China and the silk moth. I guess I don't think that I really remembered that silk comes from moths until I read that. I don't know why I hadn't connected the two. I should, obviously, but here we are. Anyway, the silk moth came to symbolize patience, creativity, craftsmanship, abundance, and quiet rewards. There's other Chinese folk tales that include moths, talking about of maidens whose kindness, loyalty, and sacrifice became intertwined with silk moths. In these stories, the insects are not frightening creatures of the night, but sacred reminders that beauty often grows from humble beginnings and faithful hearts. And how about Japan? Many regional traditions in Japan have to do with seeing a white moth in your house or around you when someone has passed away. So it's not necessarily a fearful thing when you see a white moth, as much as it's a contemplative thing. And the moth would just be gently helped out of the house and released. The idea was that this was just the spirits of loved ones stopping by for one more final visit before continuing their journey, which I think is interesting because we have talked a lot about people seeing winged things, birds, moths, butterflies, dragonflies, other flying things, and feeling like they had someone that they loved near them. But that's been a folklore in China for many, many years, or beliefs, or I'm sorry, in Japan, beliefs in Japan for many, many years. I'd never heard that before. What about Europe? European folklore also had their own folklore about why moths are drawn to candles and lanterns. One legend claimed that they're tiny souls searching for heaven. Another suggested that they mistook earthly flames for the moon that they longed to return to. Another legend was that moths, or imagined that every moth carried an unanswered question and believed that the light held its answer. I kind of love that. They're just questions, and the light knows. The idea between that we chase the bright things, the shiny things, the new things, and sometimes get burned, is certainly a lesson you could learn from a moth. What is that old song? That Dancehall song, Everything That Glitters Is Not Gold. Yeah, the moth knows. One of Aesop's fables is a tale about a proud moth who mocked a humble beetle for living in the shadows. When they encountered a glowing candle, the moth rushed eagerly towards the flame while the beetle remained safely where it was. The moth was consumed by the fire while the beetle quietly continued on its journey. There it is, right? We've all done it. That moral is timeless. Not everything that shines deserves to be followed. Be cautious. Be quiet. Be smart. Don't follow for every shiny thing. And then there's a lot of indigenous traditions. And, you have to remember have been many, many different indigenous tribes. So there's many different traditions. In several traditions, however, moths and other small nocturnal insects are associated with dreams, intuition, and messages carried through the darkness. Some oral stories that have been passed down for many generations speak of a gentle grandmother-like spirit who delivers dreams while people sleep, as a moth. Others describe night-flying insects as quiet companions that help guide souls through times of transition. And then we have the death's head hawk moth. This is the one that you see in a lot of new agey art. These are very freaking cool. If you didn't know that these are real, you do now. You might have just seen them in art and thought they were something that were cooked up, but they're not. And I have a picture for you, don't worry. But they're pretty amazing. When I was setting all of my moths and butterflies for the oddities market earlier this year, I thought about buying a couple, but gosh, the ones that I found on Etsy were about $30 a piece. They would have been cool set. I still might do that. I thought I might do that for Christy for Christmas. She absolutely loves this stuff. But, and I have the right stuff to set them, but they're pretty amazing. So the death's head hawk moth, of course, has the skull-shaped marking on its back. And in Europe, it was associated with death and misfortune. That inspired ghost stories and superstitions that lasted for centuries. That if you see a death moth, you're fucked. The moth wasn't there to cause tragedy, though. It was a messenger, encouraging families to cherish one another, settle old disagreements, or prepare themselves for life's inevitable changes. As we know, the death card, when death shows up in spirituality, it usually doesn't mean physical death. It represents endings, rebirth, release, and transformation. There's another Eastern European folk tale that captures some of the moth lessons really beautifully. It tells of a tiny moth that spent every evening chasing the brightest star in the sky, believing it must be the most beautiful flower in heaven. Night after night, it flew towards the distant light, never reaching its destination. Some may call the journey a failure, and yet it is a story of hope everlasting. Isn't that sweet? It's in the journey. We say this about creativity all the time, right? It doesn't matter what the outcome is, it's in the journey. Isn't life that way too? It's in the same way that we're so afraid to make mistakes that we frequently do nothing, right? We plant our feet down and we cement our feet to the floor because we don't want to mess up. But what's the truth? The truth is, you're not going to mess up. You are going to have life experiences. Will some of those decisions not be the ones that you wish you had made? Sure, of course. But then again, sometimes when we make decisions, that don't have the outcome we wanted, something better grows from it, or we learn some things we needed to know. At any rate, I thought that the moth information was pretty interesting. So, if a moth's been appearing in your life lately, and now you're really going to have to take a look at your moths and decide, is it a butterfly or a moth? Remember to look at the antenna. That's probably going to tell you more than anything. And the way they rest, right? Butterflies rest with their wings up. Moths rest with their wings down. If a moth's been appearing in your life, take a little time to think about what transformations might already be happening. Some quiet ones, some slow ones. Start noticing where your intuition is nudging you. Ask whether you're chasing someone else's bright light or if you're chasing your own inner wisdom. Sometimes it is about taking a look at what's influencing you, the way you think, the way you operate. You might even step outside after sunset. Put your phone inside and just sit beneath the stars. Watch the moths dance around the night air. Maybe bring a little light if you want to attract moths to you. I would recommend a sealed light so that we're not, committing mothicide, but now when you see a moth, I hope that it gives you a minute to think about what that moth might mean in your life. And I do have more to tell you about moths, but I think let's get through Luminous first and then we'll get there. Oh, well, that's weird. I have no idea. Oh, there we go. Okay. I lost my background. All right. Kelly's actually out of town, so it's the same article from last week. Because her baby girl, if you guys know Kelly and listen to her show for a million years, her baby girl just graduated from high school. What the hell? How have these kids gotten so big? Okay, I put together an entire infographic about moth magic and what it means if you see certain moths, but I'm still going to show them to you. And I know some of these moths you'll actually never see because they aren't even in your part of the world. I get it, but we're still going to dream about moths and talk about them. Christie's energy exercise this week is the shot key manifesting. This is a great one to do if you just need to shake things up in your life and maybe get something new going. Lots of crime over at True Crime Squad. If you like my true crime stuff, but you don't like things that are too terrible, then watch this show, The Thursday Live. You can't sue for that, or can you? This were 6 different lawsuits that were insane. That really happened. So that's a fun one if you like true crime, but you don't want the super heavy stuff. Lots of meditations over at Planet Meditation. And that will do it for Luminous this week. So hopefully you found some gems in there, or at least some interest. Same, Pamela. Pamela said, I've always wanted to see Luna moths. Lillian said, yeah, I have mosquitoes and alligators. Oh, yeah, Jane said it means I need to purge my closet because they're in there chomping away. Same. I actually discovered not too long ago that my wedding dress has been completely destroyed by moths in my closet. I had no idea. Now, don't mourn with me on it. It's not that sad. My dress, while it was lovely 30 years ago, it's not now. I was never saving it so that my daughters could get married in it or anything like that. I just didn't never know what else to do with it. So, it really is fine. But yeah, I was amazed at what the moths had done to it. I didn't even know I had moths in my closet. I guess I'm naive that way, but yeah. I was more sad about the feathers that I discovered they had destroyed as well. But let's talk about some moths. Here is the Luna moth, or lunar moth, depending on I've heard it both ways. But the Luna moth is a symbol of inner guidance and emotional healing. It encourages you to trust your path, even if you can't see the whole way. She's a symbol of intuition, new beginnings, release and letting go, feminine wisdom, and spiritual awakening. And she is gorgeous. How about the Atlas moth? Strength, endurance, protection, and a symbol of life's journey. This is one of the largest moths in the world. The atlas reminds us that we carry great strength within. The atlas symbolizes resilience and the ability to rise above challenges and the wonder of life's cyclical journey. Isn't that amazing? How about the rosy maple moth? Look at her big furry body. I want to pet her. And her antenna. She's so cool. She symbolizes joy, playfulness, lightness, embracing your true colors, and seeing beauty in small things. Well, yeah, she's gorgeous. With her soft colors and sweet presence, the rosy maple moth is a reminder not to take life too seriously. It inspires us to find joy, sparkle with our uniqueness, and approach each day with wonder and an open heart. Love. Total love. How about the white satin moth? She's fuzzy too, with those awesome antennae. And again, when you look at those antennae, that's very different than butterfly antennae, right? With the clubs at the end, and moths don't have that. The white satin moth is a symbol of purity, spiritual messages, and protection, and peace. Often seen as a messenger from the spirit world, the white satin moth brings comfort, peace, and a reminder that loved ones are near. It symbolizes protection, surrender, and trusting in divine timing. Lillian said, I always thought moths were powdery gray pests. This changes everything, right? Yeah. That's because butterflies have been getting all the credit. And then last, of course, the hawkshead death moth. Now that's a rendering, but they do look just like that. They have a skull on their backs. They stand for symbolism, or the symbolism, sorry, is transformation, endings and new beginnings, mystery, ancestor guidance, and hidden truths. Honestly, the thing that hit me the most about these guys is the ancestor guidance. Talk about get your attention, right? To have a whole skull hurtling at you. Pretty amazing. This mysterious moth has long been linked to death and the unknown, but spiritually it represents transformation, letting go, and the messages that help us grow. It asks, what is ready to end so something new can begin? Kind of like drawing the death card, right? Now, with some of these moths, obviously you'll never have them around you unless you live in the right part of the world to have them. Still though, I wanted to give moths the credit to just do them. Pamela said that would scare the heck out of me. That's true. I should have looked that up. Where they're found and how big they get. Well, now you have some homework. Pretty amazing. I know that the atlas can get as big as like a dinner plate or bigger. They get really big. And I know that the rosy maples are tiny too. They're little teeny moths. Yeah, Google them, Jane. Tell me. I love it. So interesting. Anyway, so there you go. That's That's what I have for you in the world of moths. And I hope that the next time you see a moth flitting about, you're a little bit more interested in who it is. It's just, I don't know. There's something for me in the idea that butterflies have been the superstars, and some moths get to fall in the butterfly category because people don't know the difference, and they're okay with those. But if it's a mothy moth, right, the ugly ones, or the ones you might deem ugly, like the dusty gray ones and brown ones, then they just get written off as a pest or a nuisance. I just wonder, I just think about it. Life is a little that way, right? We're a little that way. I also love the metaphor of going into the light or not. Yeah, interesting stuff. Anyway, so there you have it. That is your moth history lesson. Lillian said, "Can you tell me how a Fremoth, is that correct, feels about me? I'm confused by him." Let's tune into that. He's really curious by you. I think that there is some kind of a Fremoth. Okay. I think that there is kind of an attraction there. I will also say I feel like he has a lot of his own stuff he's battling. Uh, and maybe preconceived ideas of who he thinks he is or is supposed to be. He has hangups, in other words. He has hangups. But I think there actually is some attraction there. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I wanted to remind you that I am a professional psychic advisor over at one2listen.com. And you can get a hold of me every day. Yeah, we can do a couple of things. We've got a few minutes. We don't have to sign off quite yet. And welcome Exploring Fish 9. Yeah, you can definitely ask a question. Sure, Suzanne. A clearing and a grounding. Let's do that while Exploring Fish types out their question. So if everybody just wants to breathe with me, Suzanne, you'll be my test subject. But you guys can all go through this with me if you'd like. So let's breathe just a little bit. I'm going to start at your feet and command a Merkaba clearing, commanding billions of many points of light to flood your system now, completely healing, clearing, and releasing any and all energies you're carrying that aren't yours, that aren't serving your highest and best good, that could be contributing to feeling unwell, or that could be holding you back or holding you down. Commanding these frequencies to be healed and cleared and rendered neutral and inert in all directions of time now, through every cell of your physical body, every layer of your emotional body, and every fiber of your spirit body now. I'm just watching that move all the way through you. You really had a lot of like collective sludge, family drama kinds of things attached to you, Suzanne. I'm just clearing out. All right, so then going back to your feet and commanding a Merkaba blessing, commanding billions of many points of light to flood your system now, completely shifting your frequency to a place of peace, to a place of wellness, to a place of joy, and to a deep inner knowing that all is well. Commanding these frequencies to shift through every cell of your physical body, every layer of your emotional body, and every fiber of your spirit body now. Now just watch that move through you. I love this on you. It feels really good. And then I'm going to ground your root. You're a little ungrounded. Okay, my friend, you are done. Okay, Exploring said, can you tell me if my cousin MM loves me? If yes, why does he not express it or reciprocate? My gut feeling is that he does in his own way, but he's not good at expressing and reciprocating, and also doesn't really seem to understand the necessity of doing so, if that makes sense. It's kind of one of those senses where we go, yeah, I mean, they love in the way they can love, but it's never going to meet you where you are because you love a lot bigger and a lot differently. Jane needs a clearing. Hopefully the clearing the group clearing helped you, but I'm going to run through you really quick, Jane. Exploring fish, I hope that helped. Us big lovers, sometimes we get kind of smashed under other people's heels that just don't love like us. Okay, Jane, let's jump in with you real quick here. Okay, I gave you a quick clearing, my friend. Just made sure you were grounded as well. Boy, we are pretty ungrounded as of late. It's wild. You're so welcome, Suzanne. Oh, good. Love it, Pamela. Yeah, that yawn is wild, right? Exploring Fish said, I make efforts and I don't see clarity for him. What am I for him? What place do I hold in his life? Unfortunately, love, I'm afraid that you hold space like someone that he can rely on and use when he needs them. And that's where the lack of reciprocation comes in. Good, Jane. Very good. All right, you guys, that is what I've got. I have got to go. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Again, I want to remind you that I am a professional uh, advisor over at 12listen.com. You can find me over there every day. Just go to 12listen, that's number one, number 2listen.com, and look for me, Katie Weaver, and I would be happy to help you. No, he does not care about you, not the way you care about him. No. Yeah, I don't know why my notifications, YouTube's weird. It's not very consistent, unfortunately. Yeah. Alrighty. I will see you guys back here next week, same place, same time. Otherwise, I'll see you over on the lines. Have a good week. This has been yet another production of The Katie Weaver Show. Take care.